Shalom, this is Daniel Stern of Netivyah. First of all, of course, happy Passover. I hope you all had a wonderful evening and thought about the significance of that supper, that Last Supper, that Passover that we all went through together. As always, I have the conflict between giving you a roundup of multiple events or dealing with a new thing that just happened. And today, I wanted to give a roundup of events like the updates regarding hostage deal negotiations and Trump and the Houthis and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, a late-breaking scandal hit us once again, and it does once again relate to the General Security Service and the district attorney and the fact that Israel is not as much of a democracy as we would like it to be. So let's go with that, and we'll see what we do at the end. And hopefully, next video, which will probably only come out next week because of the holiday here, we can do something a little more general. But here's the latest scandal in an ever-growing list that seems to be taking up more and more of our lives but unfortunately, our country is moving at a record pace towards this abyss. And the most recent event is that a Shin Bet officer, a GSS officer of decades, was arrested and tossed into a dungeon without access to lawyers, without seeing a judge, and is under torture from Wednesday last week because of whistleblowing to a member of parliament and 2 journalists. And this is what he exposed. Ronen Bar, the infamous head of the Shin Bet, told the Attorney General Gali Baharav-Miara that a chilling story about Kahanism taking over the police. Now, what is Kahanism? Briefly, Kahanism is named for Rabbi Kahana, and it is a right-wing movement that wants to control the biblical land of Israel and to defeat the Arabs, our enemies, the ones who wish to kill us, and basically have the entire land controlled by Jews as it was given to us by our God many thousands of years ago through his promises to Abraham and his descendants. That is, in short, the gist of Kahanism. So, the Ronen Bar told Gali Baharav-Miara, the district attorney, Attorney General, that this story about Kahanism taking over the police, and that it was allegedly expressed on Tisha B'Av on the Temple Mount. And the Attorney General wanted to investigate further. And then, to everyone's embarrassment, it turns out, according to Ronen Bar's subordinates, that it was all made up, that there was nothing but lies in Ronen Bar's story. And Bar, in an attempt to rehabilitate his stand-in with her, Gali Miara, by the way, on a side note, I've already mentioned before, and it's worth throwing in here, that Gali Miara and Ronen Bar are close family friends of many decades, along with other high-ranking members of the Shin Bet, but we'll just mention that as a side note. So, in an attempt to rehabilitate his stand-in with her and his people, Ronen Bar launched an unprecedented secret investigation into the police on suspicion of a spread of Kahanism within the police and ordered that some findings be presented. Now, unfortunately for him, this investigation too ended up with nothing. But that didn't bother the district attorney, and she included this false secret investigation as part of her arguments to the High Court of Justice, without revealing that in the professional jargon, it was nonsense and made up baloney. Now, a well-known and respected reporter in Israel by the name of Amit Segal was about to publish this story, which of course is very embarrassing to Gali Miara and Ronen Bar. And that should have been the end of this blunder. But Bar and Baharav-Miara have tools to hunt down whoever exposed their disgrace. And so they found this source that reached out to the two journalists and the member of parliament, the member of Knesset, and on Wednesday last week threw him into a dungeon with no lawyers, no judges. And why? They claimed it was a disruption of an investigation. But how can one disrupt an investigation that ended with nothing? Exposing this source? What source? There were no sources. It's a bit hard to track down non-existent sources. But in any case, in this climate where even the appearance of caring about freedom and the press matters so much, you don't conduct a source hunting operation based on personal motives. And it's clear that Ronen Bar, might I remind you, he's recently fired, and Gali Baharav-Miara are doing all of this because of personal motives. Now, a serious organization such as the GSS, the General Security Service, would be much more engaged in deep introspection about what led them to dive headfirst into a false investigation and not double down on their bet by arresting the whistleblower. So let's quickly break down what happened. A whistleblower exposes non-security critical information to journalists and a member of parliament. Not an enemy. This is not like previous cases when spies revealed information to enemies, and of course if they were on the left then it was watered down and not much happened to them. But well, read about Anat Kam if you want more information on that. But rather information that embarrassed the higher-ups because of their mistakes and their political opinions and the fact that they allowed their politics to direct the organization. And then they use their power to terrorize him and anyone who he spoke with. The journalist and the member of parliament are now under investigation as well. For what? There's no reason for it. And let me remind you that both the head of the Shin Bet and the district attorney have done nothing but fighting against their higher-ups for years. So it's a bit hypocritical of them. But anyways, anyone who thinks that this is appropriate behavior in a democracy needs to go back to school. But that is what I wanted to say because it's just breaking and I wanted to get it out to you guys. I realize that this isn't always the funnest to keep going on and on about these things, but unfortunately there's more and more of them happening. But I promise you that next week we'll talk about what's been going on in the region. So have a happy Passover and God bless you all. Shalom.